Welcome to RGBA, Colorful Tech News and Reviews. This is episode 45. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. So this week, no follow-up, but a big piece of news that came up in the past couple of days. You probably heard about it. We'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, let's just quickly glance on a little news that came out, I think it was yesterday. Walt Mossberg has announced his retirement. For those of you who do not know who Walt Mossberg is, I think we can probably safely say that he's maybe like the highest profile or most respected tech journalist in the industry. He's been at it for like 40 plus years, and he did everything from the like regular journalist stuff of politics, CIA, FBI covering all that thing, all the way up to, and I think in 91 he switched to technology and for the Wall Street Journal, where he stayed for 10 or 15 years, and then he founded Recode, which is a known news organization. He did also he started up also the Recode conference, and eventually he joined The Verge to work with them on that at the same time while keeping Recode alive. And he also did lots of podcasts. The latest one, which is Control Alt Delete, which is a podcast he has with Nilay Patel of The Verge. And yeah, so basically the guy is amazing. He's been very close to Steve Jobs, so we had a bunch of little interesting anecdotes over the years of before the iPhone was launched. He was even like a confidant of Steve Jobs, where he was asking him like his opinion on stuff. And then when the phone was released, he was one of the guys who got it like way ahead of everybody and actually had to hide it even before the release to make sure that it was not discovered. And yeah, so I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
He also has a bunch of good interviews there with Steve Jobs and Microsoft, Bill Gates. They're in the classic Recode red chairs there. I don't know if you saw them.
Yeah. The All Things Digital also, All Things D,
All Things
which
D.
was another conference he did before the Recode conference.
And he's basically the tech journalist. He's the one that pioneered the whole thing of being a tech journalist. Yeah, really. And bringing to the table his edge is quite famous because he's very knowledgeable. He knows every little details, even sometimes before companies explain them. But the thing is that he's always there with he always positions himself as the lambda consumer. So it's always like, okay, but what does it do really for the consumer? What's great about this for the consumer? He's always like consumer focused, and that makes his questions like to the point, and he's never afraid to ask the good questions. So his interviews are really usually very interesting and very to the point. So in a very short amount of time, you get around all the details that you want to know. Yeah, he's very good.
Yep. Moving on to a software release. Apple finally released Clips, the little app that was announced a couple of time ago. And have you tried it?
Nope. I saw people trying it on Twitter though. Did you?
Yeah, I did try it a bit. I haven't posted anything from it, but basically it's kind of like I would say a Vine. You were able to like hold your finger on the record button and record little clips. And for each clip, you can specify the effects, the music, little emojis you want to add. You can even talk, and the clip will write whatever you're saying, but it will not appear in the audio. So it's fun. It's a fun little app. I'm not like the kind of person that shares a lot of things like that, so I'm not really like the demographic for that. But I can see why the kids like it, and I can see also that they did a good job in just doing the important stuff, which is the editing and the creation of the media, and not the posting and publishing on social media. So it's really like just export and then off you go.
I saw people using it to, the feature they have that you can talk, and it adds like captions below.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It worked for the only person I saw posting on Twitter. It worked really, really well.
Yeah, it worked for me too. It's not. I think I don't know if they did something, but yeah, the recognition of what I was saying was actually pretty accurate. So that was great. I don't know if that was like a new dictation API that they're using or something, but
they should add it to Siri.
Yeah, exactly. I've also seen that people complaining, mostly iOS developers, because the share sheet is custom and there's a bunch of other features of the app that Apple actually has APIs and standard way to do. And Apple decided not to use whatever they say other developers should use. So they were kind of pissed and, yeah, pointing fingers at Apple for not being like the instigator of the standards that they put on the other people's.
Right.
The second news we have, Twitter has been like pretty much moving in the recent weeks. There were a couple of announcements. There were a couple of things that were hit and misses. The first of those, I think, was the new reply feature. When you reply to a tweet, the usernames of the person to which you reply are not counted anymore against the 140 limits of characters. And in the official Twitter app, they like the way that the user interface is defined for that is basically quite weird, because you have the persons at the bottom, I think, of your reply, and if you have more than one, it's like the first person and others. And the way to add more people or remove more, it's not intuitive, and people are complaining about the way that this was implemented. The base idea of not counting the replies into the message is great. I was hoping for that for a long time, because I often reply to tweets and there's like 3 or 4 person, and now I'm only left with like 50 characters to write up my reply, which sucks. So that was a good idea, but badly implemented. I'm still wondering how they're going to implement that in the API side so that Tweetbot and Twitterific can use that feature. And then after that, they recently released the platform updates, which is basically aimed at developers. We've got a 4 piece of news there. Do you want to cover them?
The new account API, the new direct message API, the new set of tools to sign up, sign in, and all that, and the new search API, advanced filtering for 7 days. Eventually, that will become 30 days. What does that mean? Do you know?
Yeah, it's right now when you search your I don't know, your timeline or whatever,
it goes back. Okay,
but it's not very accurate. No, it's not accurate either. And this will add advanced filtering, like you can say between this day and this day, or from these people, or maybe tweets I sent to tweets I received. You know, because often you remember that you saw something pass. You remember that it was a retweet of somebody, but you don't know where it is or who retweeted it. So maybe you'll be able to like specify parameters like that and get to the tweets that you saw a while back most easily. They are opening this for 7 days for now, and eventually that 7 days will go up to 30 days. Because right now, I think you have some possibility of searching. I don't know how far back you can search on Twitter, but it's not that great. So much that people are actually using exporting tools where you can export your history. And from that, they are searching in Excel, whatever keywords they want to find. So yeah, so this new search API will be quite nice. The direct message API is nice because it's good because the Twitter app has the possibility to send files in direct messages, but third-party clients could not until that new change will be in place. And the other thing is that new quick question and answer is basically a way to interact with support over DMs. Let's say you're interacting with Amazon on Twitter, and you follow them, they follow you, and then you ask what's up with my order, and then they DM you, please give me your order number, and like you just reply quickly. And then you also have like a set of questions that are supposed to be in relation to that other account. Like for Amazon, it could be, let's say, what's my tracking number, has my order shipped, and you just tap those questions that are pre-filled, and you can like easily get answers. And it's the same thing for the vendor on the other end, where they also have like quick response.
Okay, and wasn't the names not counting towards a 140 already done, or they only did it for pictures?
No, they did it for a while back, okay. But I think we forgot to cover it.
Okay.
So that was the first update in this current set of updates. That's why Twitter has been quite active recently. So this was the first. The platform update was the latest, and then we got the Twitter Lite. Have you tried this one?
No.
It's basically just a redesigned mobile website. So it's supposed to be super light and super fast. So I'm guessing they probably changed the front end features of the user interface and maybe chose like a framework that is super light, or maybe they even did one like custom made just for Twitter. So the CSS and the JavaScript is very, very light, and it can possibly run on like older devices or places where the internet connection is very, very low. Just think about all the events that have occurred in a couple of years, where Twitter was kind of like the go-to platform for people to find their loved ones or report like incidents or even ask for help in situations where there were wars or terrorist attacks or whatever, and the cell network was either down or like non-reliable. Twitter was always great because it's always light, but in this case, it's even lighter because if you for some reason you don't have your phone and you only have access, I don't know, to an internet cafe or somebody else's device, you can just quickly launch Safari or Chrome, log in, and then with a very, very light website that still seems to be feature full. You basically have like a working Twitter, and of course all the media like photos and videos will all be like lazy loading, which means that the picture will be blurred and it will have its size on it, and you have the option to load it or not. So you can just tap to load, and if you want to see that picture, but the timeline will load super fast because it will not try to fetch all these assets.
So Panic, the company that makes a bunch of Mac apps, I think they're like 10 years old almost. They post a report every year, and they just posted the 2016 Panic report. I didn't read it really well. I didn't read it through. I just went through it. So they basically talk about all their products and how they're doing. Everything is going good, I think. I didn't really read it. I know their game is going really well. Transmit 5 is going really well also. But that's about it.
Yeah, basically, like you said, they go over their year, not necessarily in a numbers and dollars kind of way, but more of a, we did so many updates, we did so many like major updates, we killed one app. This year they killed Status Board. They explained their success, like for example, the game that they made, Firewatch, reached over 1 million copies sold. So for a first game for design studio that partnered with Campo Santos for the programming part, it's pretty nice. And they also like say like that when they embraced the pro iOS market a while back with their apps, including Status Board, mainly Status Board, what they realized is that people were buying their, I think was it $20 or $30 app, and then they were buying like a $2,000 screen to go with it. So basically, they were not on the receiving end of the big chunk of the money for that. So they were selling some, but the pro market being smaller, it was harder for them to sell enough to sustain the development of this app. So that's what they explained a couple of months ago when they pulled the plug, and they just go over that they embraced too quickly the iOS pro market, thinking that it's going to be huge, and in the end, it was not what they were expecting it to be. So I think for the rest, yeah, like you said, they basically have a good year. They sold lots of apps, and basically it's just fun to see that they also crossed that 20 years old. So they have been at it since 1997, and they survived the big internet bubble and all other challenges since then. So that's great to know. And now moving on to the pièce de résistance.
The Mac, in quotes, event. So Apple called in 5 people: Matt Panzarino of TechCrunch, Lance Ulanoff of Mashable.
Exact.
And then John Gruber of Daring Fireball.
In Afraid of Axios.
Yeah, and John Pachowski, I think.
Pachowski, yeah.
Pachowski of BuzzFeed.
Exactly.
So they called in these 5 people to talk about the Mac, to talk about the future of the Mac for pros, basically. But it was basically just talking about the Mac Pro. There's been lots of talk going around about, they're going to dump the Mac Pro, but yet it's still for sale. They don't update it. So what's happening? People are getting mad. So they brought these 5 people into the Apple Production Realization Lab for Mac hardware. I think I'm in the Realization Lab right now of my home, the Podcast Realization Lab.
Yep.
It's a really cool name for an office if you want to pick it.
Because it kind of like explains that this is not just let's draw on paper some stuff. Let's actually build the shit out of that metal and do some cool stuff with it. So they really put all the ideas into physical goods. So that's great.
And the pictures, they're showing like a bunch of big machine like parts and all that for computers. So I guess that's where they actually make the prototypes and all that.
Yeah, instead of relying on like a third party, like in China or something, to build them like a mold or a case or something, they do everything in house. And that from the pictures, it looks pretty big, like quite a big lab. So they don't have like just like 2 or 3 machines. They probably have like a 10 or 12 or 15 machines there, and those machines are like 2 meters by 2 meters, like very big machines. So yeah, pretty amazing.
So this little meeting, I think, happened on Monday, or probably late last week. Nobody knew about it. It was, and then the NDA just dropped on Tuesday morning, I think.
Yep.
So all the stories came out. So they were sat down with Phil Schiller, Craig Federighi, and John Turnus.
Yeah, Turnus.
Phil Schiller is head of marketing. Federighi is head of not technology, but
Mac products. No.
Yeah, just. He's our guy. Craig is our guy.
He's the Mac guy.
Yeah, and Turnus is VP of hardware engineering, and one PR guy. So and then they started,
Bill Evans from PR.
Yes.
Craig is the senior vice president of software engineering.
Yeah,
not even hardware, just software engineering.
He's our guy.
So marketing, software, and the VP hardware. So basically, got the whole gang that actually makes the software hardware of the Mac, and the guy that promotes it, and the guy from PR that makes sure that nothing is too transparent or nothing, and no mishaps happens during that meeting. And from what I read, like Bill Evans basically just like controlled the discussion and like kind of steered the discussion to the right places, and probably making signs, or I don't know if they had like a code, like if I tap the table, that means you're saying too much or whatever. But the kind of stuff that PR's job is to do, like to make sure that you don't say stuff that you shouldn't, and to make sure that you stay on point. Because especially for Craig, we've seen it with past interviews, like at the talk show. Basically, he's like excited, like he easily gets distracted and starts to go like in a not a rant, but like explaining stories and stuff like that. And I don't know what Apple PR thinks of that, but sometimes I feel like he's going too far for an Apple exec. I'm pretty happy because I love the stories and I love the way that he explains everything. But I think he goes like just a little bit too far, and that can be like irritating for the Apple PR guys. So in this case, it was pretty well set up. They had those 3 guys. They had the PR guy. So everything was like organized and structured, I guess.
So if you want to sum up this event in like one phrase, it's the Mac Pro that we're making right now, the cylinder. It didn't work. We can't upgrade it. So we're going to stop making that, but we're going to discount the prices for now. We're going to update the iMac to have a certain like iMac Pro if you want, for it to be better for professionals. And later, not this year, they didn't say next year, people are even saying maybe in 2019. So in the future, we're going to come out with a completely new design Mac Pro. It's going to be easier to update, and it's going to be keeping up to date and made just for pros. So that's a basic of what this whole event was. Yeah,
you covered it all pretty nicely. The main reason, I personally think there's 2 reasons. The first one that they explain is that they kind of did a bad decision on the GPU architecture. If you know the Mac Pro right now, the cylinder one is basically like a triangle inside. There's like 3 boards. One for the CPU, one for a GPU, and the second one for the second GPU. And on those, there's a memory close to the CPU, and there's the SSD somewhere. But the important thing is that this was meant to be like a trio of parts that are supposed to work like that forever. Like you always have one CPU with many cores, and you always have two GPUs that are like working together to give you great performance. So what Apple did with that computer is that they thought that the future was with multi GPUs. So not a single GPU card, but multiple smaller GPUs that are basically emitting less heat because you kind of split it in two. And the design of the fan sucking the air out was perfect for that. But the problem was that the following generations of CPUs that were released in the last 3 years, because don't forget that this Mac was released in 2013, they were not aiming to have multi-GPUs architectures. All the GPU manufacturers like NVIDIA, ATI, and I don't know who's there, somebody else, but basically they were doing single GPU cards with a single super strong, super fast GPU that cranks out even more heat. So what happens when you have a design like Apple has, if you put one GPU there, then it's too hot for the little places it has, and there's not enough airflow, there's not enough cooling. And what happens if you put two, and it's even worse. So they basically like cornered themselves in a thermal corner where they were not able to change the GPUs for something else. And that kind of like is the problem because they're not able to do new products for that. So that's the first part. That's the part that we know. The part that I think happened also is that these guys are humans. They did a product, they are proud of it, and just to finally acknowledge that you did a mistake, especially at their level where they have so big teams and so great people working for them that it's hard for them to like just say, okay, we totally fucked that one up and let's correct our mistake. Just for the exception phase and everything, that probably took some more time. And add on top of that, the Xeon processors from Intel that were not released when they were supposed to be released, kind of like also pushed back the release to a point where it made no sense to update the Xeon. It made no sense to change the GPUs because there were no other GPUs that they could use. All they could do was just like trickle down the existing GPUs from more expensive customization down to the basic level. But still, you don't get any more power from that. It's still just a finite amount of power that you can just like move around in your product lineup. So they basically were kind of screwed, and that's what happened. And they could have probably say that we'll just fix that right away. But like one error after the other, everything added up, and it basically came down to a situation where they were at where we are right now in 2017, where they kind of like have to start from scratch. I don't know. There were some leaks that this actually was like started inside at Apple like in the last couple of weeks. So that's why they needed at least a year to make a new computer. They could have probably realized that before and started before that. But then again, it doesn't mean that they don't have like another design in the works that was done like in 2013 when they released that computer, saying that if we don't go with that cylinder shape, we have that, I don't know, that cheese grater kind of thing that we can also do that is more versatile. So they can probably piggyback on that design and work with it. There's still hope. I'm hoping that as they know how business works, that they underpromised, and when they say next year, what they really mean is in the coming months before 1 year. So hopefully before next March, we should have something. I hope they don't wait for WWDC 2018. And that would be quite far. And even with, like you said, with a iMac Pro, it will be nice for a couple of people, but not everyone wants a computer that is not flexible in terms of components. Like it's good that the iMac is now top of the line and super fast, but it's not enough for many people. That like this computer does not have enough storage, not enough memory, not enough space, so not enough place to work basically. So.
They never talked about making a computer that's going to be expandable by users.
Yeah, that's the part that they did not like.
Or upgradable by users.
Yeah,
it just makes maybe just upgradable by them, so they can release new Mac Pros every 6 months or a year with the new Intel chips and all that. They didn't say about anything that like we're going to be able to change your graphic cards or change the hard drive in it. That they didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, they did not.
So that's still up in the air.
Well, yeah.
And they also talked about a new screen.
Yep. Pro screen to go with this new computer. I am guessing that they saw the kerfuffle that was the LG displays and the interference caused by Wi-Fi and the problems that people are bitching about on the Apple forum, saying that they have an LG screen, they have a problem, they have to get it fixed, and then now they've been asked to turn off the Wi-Fi, but they live in an apartment with like 20 other networks around, so they cannot like do anything to ask their neighbors to turn off their Wi-Fi. So now that they can't do that, LG says that they cannot proceed any further with the request. So basically customer support with problems, and I'm thinking that they probably saw this in their, what's it called? Their, not satisfaction report, but whatever, like,
Whatever what Tim Cook says all the time.
Yeah. The
customer sat.
Customer sat. So it probably kind of appeared in their customer sat numbers. Maybe that what you think about the computers, okay, the score. What you think about the accessories, and then they probably saw a big drop. And when they tried to understand why, maybe it's the LG displays, maybe it's the dongles. So basically, they kind of like had a bad year for 2016, and now they try to fix it. And hopefully, the iMac Pro will alleviate some Pro users that do not need the extensibility. And for the real Pro users, the extensibility, I hope it's not just easy to upgrade every year, because if you crank out like $6,000 in a Mac Pro, you don't want to crank out $6,000 in a Mac Pro the next year. That doesn't work. So there has to be like a middle ground where, yes, you do have some possibility of upgrade, but not everything. So you probably won't be able to change the CPU. That probably will be like soldered to the board. That's understandable. But I'm guessing that you should have at least a couple of slots for GPUs, so you can switch those if you need like a second one, or if you need to change it for a more powerful one. Memory, I think that's a given. It's already been like that for a while. Even the iMac 27-inch, you can change the memory yourself. And the SSD, will they start using like a more standard size SSD instead of their what's it called, the PCI Express, I think, or those little slim bars?
It's an M SSD or something, isn't there? An M in there somewhere?
Somewhere, yeah. So those little things. So maybe go back to 2.5-inch, which are pretty ubiquitous at this moment and available in all sizes and speed and configuration. So, and the price is going down so fast. Like I think a 2 terabytes is like in $400 for 2 terabytes of an SSD. So I'm guessing pros don't mind that kind of price. So you can get like 2 or 3 of those in that. So there has to be like a middle ground. Like some things you can upgrade, some things you can't. I'm not thinking that this will be like a super big gray box like we had before at a cheese grater. It's probably going to be something that's in between a cylinder and this gray box. So nice enough to fit on your desk, but also extensible enough that you can also do some pro stuff and change the content as you wish, but not everything.
Yeah, there's one thing I don't understand. Apple is this big, huge company. And it's like if there's 10 people in there working and they say, okay, okay, now guys, we need to release the iPhone next week, next year. Fall. So you 10 guys right now for 2 months, you're going to work on the iPhone. Good. Okay. This is done. Okay. Now let's go work on the iPad. Like, you have money, just throw money at the problem. I don't know. Just hire more people. Why can't they have like this dedicated Mac team that just works on the Mac all year round and cranks up an update every year or anything? It feels like there's like, I don't know, it's so slow and so big and so I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like that, but I think we really underestimate the amount of work needed to create a new computer. It's very simple. Just put that motherboard here, put this there, but the work that needed into the hardware design, software design, software we know because we do it for a living, but like there's probably like stuff that you cannot do like in parallel, and that's why like it kinds of stretches the time it takes to actually make something from that. But yeah, you're right by saying that we need like everybody to work on the new iPhone and stuff like that. This was confirmed to be the way they worked in the past. Was it for everyone, or do they have like superstar engineers that they just move around because they can tackle any problem and they totally like live the company values in terms of quality design and everything. And that's why it's much easier to let these guys be like the team leads. And without those team leads, the low level engineers don't know how to proceed, I guess, or need directions, or I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like you say, at the point where they're at and the money they have, they could just like hire like 10,000 more engineers and I'm guessing get everything done quicker.
I understand there's a lot of like onboarding and training and all that, but still, you have this huge campus. What are all those people working on?
LG monitors.
They're not working on pro software, GarageBand. Well, Final Cut just got an update and all that, but then, like, where's the hardware?
Yeah, but even the software, like you said, there's not so many updates. I remember a couple of years ago, we had like pages and stuff upgraded like every month or something, and it was like new feature, like every time. Now it's like one feature a year or something, and it's not the same pace as before. Yeah, but regarding pro software, I hope that this like confirms that Apple will stick to the pros, and it will also bring out new features for its pro software, and not just updates for the touch bar and stuff like that, or Force Touch or whatever. So, yeah, there's still too much we don't know. I really look forward like the next 10 years or something when we finally get like stories from the 2000 to 2020 era and how this worked and how whatever happened really and all the stuff like that. So, because it's really interesting to understand what really happened and how it happened, because these guys, they're humans, so they make mistakes like we do, and this is probably like a special scenario where one mistake led to another and just piled on, and at one point it's just like we can't do nothing, so let's focus on something else and do like a clean slate and think about that later. And that later came, I guess, in the past few months, where all the pros were switching to Windows Surfaces, and they were all switching to other platforms. And so many people in the forums were like, okay, ditch Final Cut and just try to use Adobe Premiere and stuff like that. So that's at one point where they said, okay, that's enough. We need to address this, and we need to address this quickly and swiftly. And that's what they did. So Pro will be back next year.
Yeah, and also you posted this, you copied this line in the show notes. I forget who asked, what's the scoop with the Mac Mini? And
I think it was Panzer.
Phil Schiller replied, this is in quotes, "The Mac Mini remains a product in our lineup. Nothing more to say about it today."
That is so Phil Schiller of thing to say.
That is so PR correct, marketing correct.
Yeah, the product is there. Nothing to say. Shut the fuck up and move along.
And then there was a thing that surfaced, I think, yesterday, talking about maybe they saw bad numbers according to, the numbers for the new Touch Bar Max weren't really good, and the numbers were going up for people buying refurb of the old machines. Yeah, so that's what kind of made the internal alarm ring and at Apple and said, "Oh, we might need to address this whole pro market thing."
Yeah, because like for those of you who don't know, when Apple releases new products and over the course of the year, Apple accumulates returns, I guess, from customers and stuff like that. And that makes them like a big pile of refurbished items. And once in a while, they release those on the refurbished site, where you can get the same device that is currently being sold or older devices. And you get like a 15% rebate. Sometimes it's a very old machine that is like 2-3 years. Perhaps you can get like 33% rebate, stuff like that. And there's always like computers going on like that. Like you will explain us in a couple of minutes what you purchased. But the problem is that there are new MacBook Pro with Touch Bar right now under refurbished, but which ones were going out the fastest were the ones from 2015, the non-Touch Bar MacBook Pros. And I think that this number was probably like in like 2 hours, there were no more like 2015 MacBook Pros, but there were still like a lot of refurbished for the current generation. So high rate of refurbished for this year generations and high rate of selling of last year. Plus they are still selling the 15-inch in store from 2015. and they probably are selling many of those because for pros, does it really matter that you go from like the 2015 performance to the 2016 performance? Is that such a big jump that it's gonna actually like affect your work, or is the unreliable battery life more a problem in the 2016 MacBook that you prefer to go back to the 2015, which is much more stable in terms of predictability in battery life? So there's many like aspects here to look at, but basically the numbers that they probably are getting from their sales or the retail business kind of like shifted, and that kind of like kickstarted like a little panic attack in the higher lineups, and they had to do something, and that's one more thing why they addressed this problem.
And also, this is a first, we have to note, of announcing like a product. They don't even have nothing to show. Usually they did this with the iPhone, even the iPad, the Apple Watch, the original Mac, well, not the original Mac Pro, but the Mac Pro that we have right now. They announced it and they'd show it to us, and then it'd come out like in 6 months. You'd be able to order it 6 months later. But this is the first time they say, hey, we have something new. Don't worry. We don't have nothing to show for it. And it might come in like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, 6 months, I think, was always the maximum time that they ever released information of a future product. But like you said, it was physically on stage or in pictures or whatever, so they had something to show us. Now they have nothing to show us. They don't even have specs. They just have basic guidelines like needs to be extensible, but we don't know if it's for them or for us. Needs to address all of the pro market, not just some of the pros, where they said that the current Mac Pro actually serves some pros quite well, but not all pros. So like that's all they gave us, but they never did that. They reacted to some problems like the antenna gate, and they addressed some problems like the bend gate in the 6S generation, but they never like said we have a problem. They never said they are sorry. Did they say they're sorry? No, they never said they're sorry.
They never
right?
said it was a mistake either.
Yeah, they just said that they kind of, I don't know what's the exact quote, but they were stuck in a thermal corner, so that the thermal issues were because of a design decision that was not the right one. That's the best we can have.
Federici said, I think we designed ourselves into a bit of a thermal corner, if you will. We designed a system with the kind of GPUs at the time that we thought were needed, and then we thought we could well serve with 2 GPU architecture.
Yeah, so that's the most we can get from Apple at this point. And I think like nobody really addressed that, but what happens when a company says they're sorry? Like, I think there are legal implications, like the same way that sometimes like politics, like country leaders will not say they are sorry about something they did, because if they claim that they are guilty of something, they are open to be sued, or there could be like repercussions like from the group that was like affected by that. So I don't know if it's the same thing with like companies and products. If they say that they did a mistake and they're sorry, can that count as you're just saying that you did something wrong and you need to do a recall? Like, I think that there's something here that's why they don't go further than that and just say, and that's why Bill Evans was there probably to just say, okay, never say this, and you can just say that, so that we don't like get into a problem that's going to cost us hundreds of millions because we have to recall the Mac Pros from that have been sold, or exchange them for the new one when they come out. So there's something there. So yeah. So in the end, are you hopeful? Do you think that it's a good thing that they did that little event in quote?
I think so, because the Mac Pro users are basically their biggest fanboys, if you want, or biggest like evangelists. Yeah. So you need to take care of them, kind of, sort of, and keep them updated and keep them happy if you want them to sell Macs to their aunts and uncles and just talk about Apple all the time when they go to the Christmas party. So I guess this was well overdue. I think they could have. You could argue that they could have realized a couple of almost a year or 2 years before that, hey, maybe this Mac Pro thing isn't working. We might need to readdress this, but at least they did it 3 years down the road.
Yeah, so let's say that after 1 year, when they sat down and thought, what can we do with the Mac Pro? Then they probably said, okay, the Xeon are not ready yet, so let's wait a few more months. So then 6 months are passing. Then they have other priorities, the iPhone, WWDC, stuff like that. And then, okay, 1 year, another year later, after 2 years, then they realize that, okay, the Xeon will probably be ready in a couple of months. Fine, we'll use those. But what about the CPU, the GPUs, like those D500, D700? What's the next generation? And they go back to, was it ATI 40? Yeah, it's ATI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they go back to ATI. It's okay, what's your next generation? And they said, oh, no, we totally scrapped that design. We are now doing only single GPUs, but you get more than twice the power. So instead of having two cards, you only have one, and it's much more power. Okay, so ship us a couple. We'll try them. They put them in their Mac Pros, and then the GPU run at 200 degrees Fahrenheit every day, nonstop. So they have a problem there. So they changed the fans, they changed the cooling. They probably had something to help that. Let's say that, can we exchange the fan for another more powerful fan or something? Maybe put a second fan in there. And nothing really made it work. And they kind of realized maybe after 2 years that they had a big problem. And they probably had a small team trying to fix that. And yeah, they probably then it was probably risen to the top that there's nothing to do. We have to take a decision to kill that computer design and do something else. And now that's the human part that comes in. And actually, no. We did so much work for that. The design was so great. It was so perfect. There must be something we can do. So now the bosses are saying to their subordinates, find a solution, find something. And then a month passes, 2 months passes, 3 months passes. And now we are at 2 years and a half almost. Still nothing, still no decision. And now they probably had to accept the problem that they made them for themselves, and gather the resources, look at the schedule, see where can that fit, who can we take to make a new hardware for that, depending on the new MacBook Pros, the new iMacs coming out this year. What can we leverage in terms of humans, engineers to work on that? And that's when they said, probably a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when all these numbers came in also about the refurbs. Okay, now we had this plan. We wanted to do it in a couple of months. I think we're just going to address this now and just stop the bleeding and fix that once and for all. Tell the people that don't go running with Adobe Premiere or a Surface Studio and just wait for us. We'll do something in a year. And that's what they did. So that's in my head, the way that this happened.
Okay, I have instant follow-up. We said that about the Mac Mini. They're asking about the Mac Mini. It wasn't Panzerino. It was John Pakowski.
Okay, fine. Sorry, John.
And then another thing I find weird is that Tim Cook wasn't present at the little meeting thing. I'm sure Steve would be there. I hate to say it there. I say, oh, if Steve Jobs would be alive, but Steve Jobs would have been in that room.
Yeah, for sure.
The message would have been more. Even if Tim doesn't say anything, the message would be we're really behind this. I don't know. Well,
if Steve was still there and Kitty Cotton was still heading PR, you would have never seen that kind of meeting, first of all.
Yeah, you can say that too.
You probably would have seen a couple of people getting fired from Apple. And you'll probably hear about people saying that Steve Jobs had one of those intense, very emotional, very loud panic attack, and that he took everybody that he could gather to fix that problem at once. So get everybody in the room, fix that. Now I want something in 1 month and not a year. So that's probably how it worked. But that's probably how he also got everybody from all those departments to work on the iPhone and then to work on the iPad. So he had how can I say that? The unrealistically strong opinion of let's focus on this one specific thing. I don't care about the rest. The rest can die. This has to get worked on. And that's probably how he would have addressed that. Probably earlier, because he's not one to actually ponder too long on like mistakes or past products. It was always future looking. And let's say they do something wrong, then okay, like F the past and work on the future, and this is the new thing. Forget about what we did, focus on what we're doing now. And he would have probably like kicked the machine faster. So yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, so we'll never know about that. So we can't just make assumptions or guesses. Yeah. It's not worth anything anyways.
No, just know that we have a new Mac Pro coming up. We have a new iMac Pro, which will also please lots of people. Not that the current iMac is not fast enough, but if there's like a Pro version with probably, I hope, more ports, not less ports, and maybe some better CPUs, maybe even bringing the Xeon into the iMac, that would be something fun. Yeah, and they can also use the Pro moniker, so the iMac Pro, the iPad Pro, that's nice. Yeah, basically that's about it. Talking about the pros, you got your MacBook Pro.
Yeah, so I bought a MacBook Pro without Touch Bar. I think Apple calls it the MacBook Pro 2 USB-C Thunderbolt 3 port. It's like super long, the name. Anyways,
parenthesis 2016.
Yeah, it's stupid name, but we call it the MacBook Escape with the real escape key. Yeah, I got it this week, so I've had it for like 5 days. The battery is awesome. I was at 48% before starting the show, and I charged it once on Tuesday night, and I've used it every day, an hour in the train, 2 hours in the train every day, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's no discrete GPU in this one, right? It's only the onboard GPU.
No, I think people have been seeing like 12 hours of battery life.
So that's which is what we are expecting from a MacBook Pro,
because that's what in 2017.
Yeah, because we had that in the past couple of years, from 2012 and up. That was about like 10 to 12 hours battery life.
Yeah, and batteries are getting better like exponentially by year. It also comes with the little keyboard, the same keyboard as a MacBook, like the normal MacBook. It's a version 2, super flat. The keys don't move. I really like it. It might be a little bit on the loud side. Like, I don't know if you can hear it when I type on the show there, but it's pretty loud. It's a lot louder than the old Retina or even like any other Apple keyboard. Even a lot louder than the Magic Keyboard.
What about the feeling? Do you like that you don't press them as deep as the previous keyboards?
Yeah, I really like it. I'm really into the new low travel keyboard thing. I have no problem with it.
What about the space?
I'm not a keyboard geek like you are.
What about the space between the keys? I think they're larger, right? The spaces?
I don't know. It's exactly the same as a Magic Keyboard, no? Like the layout?
But I think the spaces is less there. There's less space, I think, between the keys.
I'd have to put it next to the Magic Keyboard. Anyway, I find it fine. I don't have mistype or whatever.
Okay. And is the escape key reachable like easily?
What do you mean?
Like your pinky, because it's wider, right? No, it's not wider. It's the same width, but it's different height, right?
The escape key?
Yeah, if you compare it to previous generations.
No, it's wider,
but not taller.
No, not taller,
but shorter.
I don't know. I haven't had a problem.
Okay, that's fine.
The speakers are super loud. Nobody have been talking about the speakers, but they're so loud on this thing. Yeah. Night Shift is cool. We were talking about it on last show.
Yeah, you installed it.
Yeah, it's nice. The only thing I'd like is for the keyboard backlit lights to be night shiftable if you want. Wow. Also, because they're super
that would be nice. White. Yeah,
you can put them all the way down, but they're still like white, and I don't really need the keyboard lights, but they're there, so I want them to be open or on. The screen is like crazy colors. It's really nice. It's a new P3 screen. DPI? No. Yeah.
DCI-P3.
DCI-P3. So it's a new color gamut, and it makes more colors available for pictures and everything. So it's just super crisp. It's also nice that I can really bring down the resolution, or bring up the resolution if you want, to have more space on the little 13-inch display. The trackpad is a little big for my liking. I never thought about the old trackpad being too small. So this one might be a bit too wide. I get like I touch it when I'm trying to type sometimes, but I guess we'll get used to that. Little note that's really annoys me. I can't do silent clicking anymore.
Why is that?
I don't know if you remember that feature in Mac OS.
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, it's not available on the 2016 MacBooks Pro.
So in that point and click section in System Preference,
it's just not there.
You only have like force click and haptic feedback. You can set the click and the tracking speed, but you cannot check the box that says silent tracking. Silent clicking.
All the way at the bottom there, underneath the force click and haptic feedback, it's empty. There's nothing.
That's weird.
And I even checked on the Apple support documents, and it says silent clicking is not available for all 2016 MacBook Pros.
But why?
It beats me.
Wow. Okay. Because that's like one of the first things I check when I get like a new computer.
I hate the clicking sound.
Yeah, but I'm not a tap to click guy. I'm a push to click, like really clicking. So I know that this can get on the nerves of people around me, and it also gets on my nerves. So I always hit that little silent clicking there quickly. And also I even disabled force click and haptic feedback because it was getting on my nerves. I had to drag and drop lots of things this week, and every time I was holding my thumb, moving my finger, I was always getting like the haptic feedback of I'm force clicking something that doesn't even matter, but still it was getting on my nerves. So I was like feeling that the clicking was like being unclicked, so I had to press harder even, which was just cumbersome. So I disabled that, and since then much better experience.
I got it in space gray. The color's nice.
Good.
I really like the silver, but I just felt like, I'll get space gray, so it's going to be even newer to my eyes. You know, the different color, but it's stupid. But the build and the finish of the thing is awesome, like you usually get from MacBooks. It's super light. It's almost as light as the MacBook Air, I think. And it has this Pro feature, and especially has a display, because the MacBook Air is nice, but it doesn't have the Retina display yet. Imagine
if we could get like a MacBook Air with Retina display.
I know.
How cool and crazy that would be.
But it's basically what the MacBook is, like the normal.
Yeah,
MacBook.
because it's so thin now and it's so light. That's kind of like where they're aiming for, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And they almost reached it. Like if you compare a 13-inch MacBook Pro and a 13-inch MacBook Air, it's almost the same thing.
Dongles. We're gonna have to talk about dongles.
Yeah.
So dongles are dongles. I don't know what to say about them. They suck, but that's what it is. I understand like the reason we have dongles is because they want to universalize, if you can say that, all the ports, so everybody going to switch to USB-C. But right now, like today, it sucks.
Yeah, but does it really like sucks like using it? Like, because we know, thinking in the future that we're going to get dongles and we're going to have to keep dongles with us, like, does that really like give you a problem in real use? Or
I don't use anything USB.
Used?
Well, I don't use any USB devices except for this mic that I'm talking on right now. So I put a dongle on it and it's going to stay here all the time.
Okay.
And I have another dongle that I carry that stays in my backpack. It's like just in case I have to plug a USB key at work or something. I don't know. I didn't use it yet.
Yeah, because I had like a contract a couple years ago where I had my work MacBook Pro, and it was like a PC Windows company, and I had to bring all my dongles, like for Ethernet and for the monitor. And why the monitor? Yeah, for some reason the monitor didn't have any HDMI, so I had to use like a DVI to Thunderbolt. Yeah, display port. So I had this. I had the one for like Ethernet, and I had so I worked on the computer. I had my keyboard. I think I had another dongle.
Yeah.
Probably something else. Yeah, whatever. So I lived that dongle life like for like 3 or 4 months, like daily. And since this was like a temporary assignment, I could be recalled at any day. So whenever I left the office, I would get everything into my bag. So the desk was cleaned. So basically, I had this big messenger bag made for photos for photojournalists, where I can put like my 15-inch laptop, and I still had like lots of places for cameras and stuff, which was basically empty most of the time. But still, I had like all my dongles, keyboard, mouse, cables, power brick, everything was there. So, but I did not really like. It didn't really matter to me. It was, of course, the bag was big, so that was the most impact. If I was gonna do that like every day for a year, I would have probably invested in a bigger bag. Well, not bigger bag, like a smaller bag that was better optimized for my storage needs. But the dongle side of it, like getting to work, plugging those little 3 cables, it's not that bad, you know. Of course, I could have got like a Thunderbolt bridge or something, but even then, I don't think it's that worst.
There's no MagSafe charger anymore, so it just charges with the normal USB-C cable. I don't miss the MagSafe feature, like the magnet thing. Yes, it was nice to just like put it close and it would magnet in, it would like suck in the cable, but that doesn't matter. What I do miss though is a little light indicator that will tell you if the laptop is charged, is done charging, or is charging. I like that feature. That's what we lose. It's cool when you plug it in. It makes the same noise as when you plug in your iPhone, like the ding, to say it's charging. I just found it weird the first time I plugged in. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? My phone is charging. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for the MagSafe, do you remember the last time you tripped on a wire?
No.
No, okay, that's why. I'm the kind of guy that's very clumsy, and I really do that like not daily, but every week at least once. I would trip on the wire. Probably because I'm oftentimes like at work and conference room, or at home when I'm on the couch and I want to charge, and the cable is laying around. There's a kid that runs by or something. So I think I can safely say that MagSafe probably saved me maybe 40 to 50 drops over the last couple of years. So if I were to to buy a MacBook now, even though the solutions on the market right now are not ideal, I would still get something like the Griffin, what's it called? Charge.
I don't know, but there were patent leaks about, well, not patent leaks, but Apple filed patents for a MagSafe to USB-C adapter. So I guess it look a lot like the MagSafe 1 to MagSafe 2 adapter, but it just basically worked for all the MacBook Pros 2016. Yeah. I'd like to have one of those just so I can use my old chargers with this laptop.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Like I always used to leave a MacBook charger in this room where we record, so when I wake up in the morning, just drop my PC, and then I could plug all my cables and I'd be good to go. Now I have to like reach under the desk, like a plug-in thing. It's awful.
There's always like the Griffin BreakSafe. That's how it's called. It's a magnetic USB-C power cable that can bring back the accident proofing of the MagSafe. But for that, you need to add this little USB-C adapter in your port. And now your computer has a little pimple on the side that protrudes out, and it's not the best looking. It's quite big also. About as big as like the number 1 key or the tilde key. So it's not that small, but still, for me, if I had this computer, I would get this like right away, just because of the save of the drops it's going to save me. I'm hoping, like you're saying, that they're going to bring out this little patent application they did, because just to my right now, I can see there's 3 adapters in my storage. So MagSafe 1, there's 1, and there's 2 MagSafe 2. So I could always use those instead of whatever USB-C solution the Mac currently has. And like you, I could have like one hidden in my desk. I could have one hidden in the living room and just have the cable. So yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I'd never leave the little pimple thing sticking out of my computer. I'd always leave it on the cable. Like I don't want to carry. And I'd carry around the USB-C charger that comes with the MacBook. It's just these chargers are like $100 now in Canada. Yeah. So if I want to buy a second one,
well, they were always like that. I bought one from my wife for her. It was a MagSafe one for her 2007 MacBook Pro. When she started to have problems, it like did a pop and then kind of felt hot. So I'm like, maybe some capacitor exploded. And yes, it did. So I got one replaced and it was $100 Canadian. So
yeah, now they don't even come with the extension anymore.
Yeah, you have to buy them separately. So it's $129, I think.
I think it's $129 all in together.
Yeah, so that's quite big. Other than that, what do you think about USB-C? Do you like the cable, the way it attaches? And
I almost, because I'm playing with the dongle right now, I almost unplugged my mic.
Yeah, wait for after the show for that.
Cable is fine. I have nothing to say against USB-C.
Okay. Not too tight, not too loose, just correct.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Sticking it in any size is good compared to like normal USB.
Okay. What about the missing illuminating apple on the back? Are you missing that?
Oh, I missed it one time this week. When I it was really stupid, but when I close all the lights here and I transfer from the couch to the bedroom, I had my laptop like in my hands, and usually because of the Apple logo, like it's like a flashlight so I can see where I'm working. It was the only time I was like, oh man, I missed this backlit illuminated logo, but other than that, I don't care.
Nice.
But it was just funny. It was like the second day I had it. I'm like, oh, nice. With my old laptop, I could have seen, but now I can't. But it was.
Now you trip and you drop your laptop.
Yeah, it's a stupid usage, but it was just a little note.
Well, it's the little things like that you kind of make your life easier.
Yeah, but it's not made for that.
No, I know, but like we always use our phone screens just a little bit of light here and there or something. So that's what we use it for. So it makes sense for us. And what about stickers? Is your computer covered with stickers yet?
No, I'm not a sticker guy.
No, not even an RGBA?
No stickers.
Ah, jeez.
I put RGBA in my notebook.
Okay, that's good.
My physical notebook at work.
Okay. I put the RGBA logo on my work computer and also the classic Apple 6 colors stickers on the light.
I can still put that, but it won't light up, so it's useless.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks. All right, so thank you for your little review there. So this was episode number 45 of RGBA. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/45. You can follow us on Twitter at _RGBA. I'm Valia, VALLIERES.
And I'm Tyler Menard, TYLERMENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.